gets me hype. Welcome to Draped and Gold, your one-stop shop for NXT UK and NXT content across the ring and across the pond. It's your boy Flobo Boyce here with you. 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. But as always, I'm not alone. I'm being joined by the legend. You may have heard him on the MacMania podcast, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and has one of the worst fantasy football records all this season. Give it up for real Jack Farmer. How's it going?
How are you going to make fun of my fantasy football record? That's not fair.
I don't play. That's how I can do that. I am undefeated.
I've got a terrible. This was one of the worst years I've ever had, and I always say I started off like I tell you after my fantasy draft, I was like, I'm untouchable. I'm going to be undefeated this year. This is going to be great. I was so excited, but then the injury started. Then the COVID started, and just.
Blame the virus, huh? No,
the whole thing just gutted my team.
You don't want me in the team.
Yeah, it was classic. One of those days too, where or one of those leagues too, where I would say, like, okay, this guy's been hurt too much. I'm going to get rid of him. I get rid of him, and then someone signs them, and they come back and they just destroy it. So it's been a big headache.
Damn, man, you might be like a GM for the Mets. That's how he would get down. I'm the worst at fantasy football because I always draft kickers first. Anyway, this is Straight to Golden.
Yeah, that's a dumb idea. Why are you doing that?
I'm totally being a meme. I'm totally memeing when I'm doing that. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Thanks so much for watching us live. Kirsten Marie is in the building, and then forget about Lamb. And hey, good time, Mike. Hey,
good day. Aussie.
Oi. Well, let's get into it, man. NXT UK just got off the air on Peacock in the United States, and our main event was interesting. I want your take on this one. Heritage Cup Championship, A-Kid versus Noam Dar, but it ended in a draw, and I was confused because I thought Heritage Cup rules say there's a sudden death aspect if it was tied after 6 rounds. Talk to me about the match and how it ended.
Today, A-Kid learned a very valuable lesson. It's one that we hear all the time, but I don't think we ever really think about it. And it's one that Ric Flair would say over and over and over again, Flobo, and that is to be the man, you have to beat the man. And today, A-Kid was not able to beat the man. Therefore, the man is still Noam Dar.
Wow, I thought you were going to say the whole thing about Space Mountain, but you're also right. Heritage Cup rules is always crazy. Had a bit of exchanges there with the wrist locks and all those stretches out and stuff like that. But poor Shaw Samuels, man, didn't get his payday. He didn't get his 11-1 odds. He was upset ringside.
This is where we always talk about with wrestling why certain things matter that happen backstage. And the best kind of things that can happen are the ones that add stakes to matches. I don't know about you, but I was very, very invested in this match during the 4th round. And it was just because of something that was flippantly said backstage and how powerful that was. I mean, yeah, I don't know about you, but I put all my money in on the 4th round. I lost a lot of money today because of that. I would never, ever bet against Shaw Samuel's predictions here. He's always right. This was a big upset. But I think a lot of people were watching during the 4th round a lot closer than they would have been because they knew what the odds are. I thought that was a really clever thing they did there.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I wonder if there would be like an alternate universe, like an actual NXT, WWE, like fake betting component, you know? Like, remember when they had drafting, like fantasy drafts for wrestlers? I think they'd bring that back. It'd be kind of cool. JLJ Media here says he's here, friend of the show. What's up, James?
Hello, JLJ. Thanks for joining along in the chat.
Yeah, he's all right. No, I'm kidding. He was here last week. Highest ratings we got in like the 7-day watch period. So we may have a picture of him on the wall somewhere, just to like one of those like those scarecrows, but the opposite. Just have people come in and see his face.
We'll put it next to our Webby Award.
Yeah, that's coming next. I got room for a Webby right over there. Got the Knicks. I got the Viddy. I got the Webby
the Viddy. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, we'll put it next to the Viddy Award. I want to know where A-Kid got off, though, attacking Shaw Samuels on the outside. It's funny because Shaw Samuels, he loses so much money in this situation. He's down and out, probably one of the hardest days he's had to go through in a long time. Yet he's still there for his friend. He's still there for Noam Dar, cheering for him, still trying to raise others up. And then A-Kid flippantly attacks him for no reason at all, dives out of the ring and hits him. And before you get all, whoa, what's he, blah, 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 like you always
that is the best attempt we've ever made.
I want you to imagine, what if Noam Dar just attacked A-Kid's corner man somewhere? You'd get so angry, yet A-Kid's doing it right now to a guy that just lost everything. I think A-Kid owes Shaw Samuels an apology.
There's one thing we learned from Thick is don't cross the barricade. Dylan Matthews says fantasy draft wrestling, Tony G needs to be the face of it. Yeah, man, bada boom. I love it. I love it.
I would never take a bet with Tony D because I'd worry about my kneecaps if I lost.
You got a spare. You got 2 of them. You're fine.
I'm really bad at gambling.
You lost both your kneecaps, Jack? What the hell happened?
It was double or nothing.
Oh, my God. Yeah, nothing. Exactly. Even in, I guess, defeat here, is it safe to say that with the fallout of the eventual Ilya Dragunov-Jordan Devlin match, A-Kid could possibly be the presumptive #1 contender for the United Kingdom Championship on NXT UK?
I get what you're saying, but didn't he lose to Dragunov already? I feel like A-Kid had a very recent shot at the title.
He did. But you look at who's next. Who's next lady in line? We don't know what Rampage Brown is. It's still kind of wonky. Sam Gradwell took a loss today. We'll get that a little later. But, the world is A-Kid's proverbial oyster.
So this is an interesting situation for A-Kid because right now, A-Kid should really be hoping Jordan Devlin gets the win against Dragunov, because if I'm Sid and I'm sitting in that GM position, or if I'm whoever's making these calls, I'm looking at Johnny Saint. If I'm Johnny Saint and I'm looking at this, I'm saying A-Kid already lost to Dragunov with the title on the line. Correct. Why would he get another shot? Let's wait. Let's give someone else an opportunity, especially since he just failed to win the Heritage Cup. But if I'm Johnny Saint and I see Jordan Devlin win and Jordan Devlin becomes the champion, then I say, didn't A-Kid get a win over Jordan Devlin just recently? Doesn't that mean he should get a title shot? So if I'm A-Kid, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that Jordan Devlin walks out with the NXT UK Championship.
Let's get into it. The match is actually next week. The preview is now. Jordan Devlin, the Irish Ace, is shaking off that Baby Balor moniker. Ilya Dragunov, Unbesiegbar, has done enough for the brand, taking the mantle from Walter / Gunther. You have these two men on a collision course, and this can really dictate what NXT UK is going to be. Can Jordan Devlin take down Ilya Dragunov? And if he can, who will be the one to challenge him to take him down? Because I feel like once you do that, a whole other slew of competitors and future potential opponents come out the woodwork for the Irish Ace.
Well, you're absolutely right. I think first and foremost, I want to say that Dragunov, I tweeted it, I don't think there's anyone alive who's more intense than Dragunov. He breathes fire, he says. He's incredibly intense, but I've said it for a long time. Jordan Devlin is the heir apparent to the NXT UK throne. I think he's going to win. I think he has everything it takes to beat a Dragunov because I think, like he says, he doesn't have any other attachments. He doesn't have all these other things that Dragunov is getting all caught up in. All Devlin wants is to win this match, and that's why he's going to come in focused. He's going to come in unstoppable. He's got everything you need to be a champion. And again, I think that means A-Kid is next in line to get a title shot.
So I was going to disagree with you, Jack. I was like, oh no, Ilya has to retain. But they said 3 words that changed it all for me. Empty arena match, which means there is no crowd, which means no one's going to bring their cell phones and tell their friends what's happening. I think it's going to be a little bit more of an intense fight here, and this may very be the coronation of Jordan Devlin. So if you're not watching NXT UK, it could be next week. So I hate to say it, I actually agree with Jack. It sucks.
Do you think, I think as a match on its own, in a vacuum, empty arena match is perfect for someone like Jordan Devlin. I think this is a perfect setup for him to win. I think it's going to be brutal. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be everything you want as a fan. But Flobo, I ask you, again, going to Johnny Saint's position here, isn't it a little weird to go back to an empty arena after empty arenas were a thing for so long?
I have to agree. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, halftime heat. Remember that match? It was great. But even with fans, the BT Sport Arena is, I think, the smallest venue in even smaller than Impact. I think it's the smallest venue with fans on television, quote unquote, because we stream it all. So it is kind of a weird stipulation. I assume it means they're going to go a little bit more hardcore, but I definitely think it'd be no one around for spoilers. I think that's the reason, and that means it's Devlin's chance to do something underhanded if he wanted to.
I think you're right. I think that this is going to be I think it's going to be incredible to watch. I mean, for us, it's the same. We're watching it the same way we always would have watched it. But it just seems weird timing. I think it'll be fun. I'm excited for it. I would love to be on the American commentary table, but we'll see.
I should really trademark that. Mon Sandu says, someone should tell Gunther, so no one told your life was going to be this way. I'll be there for you. I guess it's a Friends reference. And speaking of things I find annoying, I have myself a pun calendar from Evan Mack on our sister show, Mac Mania. And guess what today's pun is? Barbers are such good drivers because they know all the shortcuts. Anyway, our show today,
I love it.
Stupid. Our show today starts off with a tag team match. Player Pretty Deadly was challenging Sam Gradwell to find a partner, and poor Sam Gradwell took all week to find it. Before we even get to the match, Jack, you and I were talking about this all weekend because you saw it before I did. Sam Gradwell tried super hard to find a partner. I'm surprised it wasn't you.
Well, I wanted to go out there. The idea was I was going to go out there, and I think him and I would have been just a dynamite team, but again, I have journalistic integrity. I can't be picking sides. I always call it down the middle, as you know, Flobo. I never pick sides. I never have favorites. I always call it as it is. And me being a part of it, I think would take away that journalistic integrity. So I had to bow out. But I think that I got to say, Sam Gradwell on Twitter this week was just a treat to watch. This was so fun and so entertaining, and people who aren't catching on to just how entertaining Sam Gradwell is need to catch on. He gets it. He is fun. He is big. He's strong. He can beat the crap out of you, but he can also give you a smile along the way. I think the build up to this was just so much fun to watch.
I kind of wish I had a producer because they would have clipped out the video I said last week where I predicted that Sam would have picked Saxon Huxley, and he did. His tag team partner. It was awesome. The match itself was pretty solid, but that scummy Kenny Williams gets involved. Jack Farmer, this guy, I don't know, somebody here rubs me the wrong way. Getting involved in this matchup, costing Sam Gradwell the victory. What's his deal?
I want to start with your prediction. You were right. Saxon Huxley was a great pick from you last week, but I'm going to pat myself on the back here because I've been saying for a year now that what Saxon Huxley needs is someone to focus him. And someone like Sam Gradwell is the kind of person that can focus him like a shotgun blast. It's still going to be spreading damage all over the place, but at least it's in the right direction. They were a great team today. I can't believe just how good they did against Pretty Deadly. Now, as you alluded to, Pretty Deadly is the greatest tag team in the history of NXT UK. So, of course, they got the win here, but I think we need to give a big pat on the back to Sam Gradwell and Saxon Huxley. I think they can make hay in the tag team division.
I mean, that tag team division is already pretty stacked, and I can see them working together, having this like wild card on the roster, and Sam Gradwell just being so angry and surly. But that begs the question there, Jack Farmer. Is Sam Gradwell a protagonist?
I've always been a fan of Sam Gradwell from the very beginning. I welcome aboard, Flobo.
I'm late. I'm sorry.
I've always been a fan of Sam Gradwell, and Kenny Williams, he is a trickster. He's the scum of the earth, as he says. And I think that, him picking a fight with someone that is universally loved like Sam Gradwell just kind of fits the mold of who he is. I don't know if he's going to regret it or not, but it doesn't surprise me.
Well, it's also surprising, at least I thought it was, is to Nigel McGinnis's point, Pretty Deadly should it be maybe entitled to a rematch if we so believe in that, but this seems to be a distraction.
Maybe. Yes. They should get a rematch.
Yes, they do. But, in WWE, they're trying to say nothing's automatic. My question for you is, when are they going to get the rematch?
They are the greatest tag team of all time in NXT UK history.
Really?
In history. The longest reigning, greatest, most prettiest, most deadliest
they're
team
pretty, yeah.
in the
They're most
history of
deadliest.
NXT UK.
They never killed anybody.
Of course, they should get a rematch, even if they hadn't been the tag team champions yet. By just looking at what they're able to do, they should get a rematch.
Really?
It's silly we have to wait.
Yeah, so do you think this will be next for them, or do you think they're going to have some unfinished business with Sam Gradwell and Saxon Huxley?
I think they can do whatever they want. They have if they want to be the tag team champions, all they got to do is go knock on Johnny Saint's door. I know right now they're being respectful to Sid Scala, so they're going to him first. But look, these guys, let's just say what it is. They're the uncrowned tag team champions. Everyone believes them as the tag team champions. They are the tag team champions.
Uncrowned, dethroned.
Spiritually, they are the tag team champions. Now it's just a matter of them taking care of some house cleaning before getting to the real thing in Mustache Mountain. That's all it is.
Let's talk about NXT UK's women's division this week. A lot of progression up and down the card. Blair Davenport, apparently it's from a line of Davenports. Amelia McKenzie tried as he might against Isla Dawn and didn't really go anywhere. But let's talk about Ginny and Amel first. Here is someone that almost like on Raw with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, very, very similar backgrounds. But Ginny just can't stand Amel for just leaning on that package, trying to get everyone's sympathy. But Amel says she's all about hope. Jack Farmer, this match is going to be a banger. We all know that. But Ginny is looking to reignite her career to get herself back up the top. Is Amel the right way to go? She should be focusing on bigger things, or is this something that cannot be denied for her?
The fact that she's focusing on wrestling at all when she has such a big career outside of wrestling, when she's a fashionista, she's an icon in the fashion industry. The fact that she's even turning an eye to wrestling is something that we should all say. We should stop what we're doing and say, Ginny, thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for giving us your attention. I appreciate it. You make the place look better. You make the place look more fashionable, more current, more stylish. Thank you for being here. Amel, again, she's someone who's getting a lot of buzz right now because she has an amazing, absolutely amazing video package that talked about her amazing story. I think this is what you look for. This is box office. This is what we want. These are two icons that may go head to head. Right now, it's still the talking phase, as far as I know. I don't know. Has the match been signed? Is it official?
It's not official, but it seems to be. I mean, it seems to be a collision course thing happening.
I mean, it looks like it's coming. And I think this is one of those things where when I look at the big time matchups, you said Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley. I agree.
So here's where I mentioned both these women's matches, officially, Amel and Ginny, and today's match, Amelia McKenzie and Isla Dawn, is that where's Meiko Satomura? What is she doing? Where is the NXT UK champion? Is she looking at this Ginny Amel thing on bated breath? Is she looking at her protege this week? I want to know, if you were the champion, if you're on top of the mountain, Jack, where were your intentions to be hanging out?
Well, I think Meiko said, look, Blair Davenport's after me. I'm getting out of town. And she didn't wait. She didn't wait for her protege. Look, you laugh. Let me ask you this. Yes. How has being Meiko's protege worked out for Amelia McKenzie so far?
She got her butt kicked pretty handily in this license.
Regularly. It's regularly.
Worse than the license with.
This has not been a good deal for Amelia McKenzie. Ever since she tagged up or met up with Meiko Satomura. Meiko Satomura, by the way, seems to be not around as much. It's been working out great for her. And I want to ask you this. I know we don't walk through the forbidden door so often, but how come we look at so many other pairings like a Wardlow and MJF? We look at like an RK Bro. We look at all these pairings where you have a person who's sort of higher up and a person who's a little bit lower on the card working with them. And we all say, when's one gonna turn on the other? When's one gonna stab the other in the back? How come no one's asking, when will Amelia McKenzie finally stand up for herself and take it to Meiko Satomura and show her she's done getting beat up on her behalf?
It was an odd one for me because there were so many ladies that want to handle their business to get to the final boss. But let's talk about Amelia. A match against Isla Dawn. And no offense to Isla Dawn, because she hasn't been featured regularly, her win-loss record isn't impressive just because she hasn't wrestled as much. In fact, the show had to remind us about what was she doing the past 6 months. But Isla Dawn came looking svelte and totally demolished Amelia. But here's what was kind of odd. After the match, she gives her back a token from her magical box, as she did with Aaliyah James earlier. So if anything, Isla Dawn looks like to be another potential foe for Mako Satomura. I don't know about you, Jack, but this women's division is stacked.
Well, regardless of how stacked the women's division is, you don't mess with the supernatural, Flobo. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. I mean, if Sid Scala said, Jack, you've got to have a match with Isla Dawn, I would say, no, she's supernatural. That's
my integrity.
Dangerous.
Yes.
I don't get involved with that. That's dangerous. And I think Amelia McKenzie found out the hard way. And the fact that I think right now we need to be very, very worried because Isla Dawn, she's collecting trinkets. She's collecting these things from all these different wrestlers. And you'll notice every time she does, it seems like she gets a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger. Here she is winning matches now saying, I don't need the trinkets anymore. How powerful has she become that she doesn't even need these trinkets anymore? If I'm anyone in that division, if I'm anyone in that locker room, if I'm anyone on that brand, I am giving Isla Dawn a wide berth. I don't want anything to do with it. Gives me, I think the professional term is the EBGBs.
Okay, let's put a button on this. Top of Mountain, Mako Satomura and Blair Davenport seems to want her rematch. If you had to rank potential foes, let's say 3 through 6, the way we talked about today, anyone we didn't mention, what would you say the pecking order is for that championship?
I'd say right now, Amel is next up. I think because she's got the buzz, she's got the talent, she's got everything you're looking for. I think after that, you go Ginny. Again, same reasons. The only difference is Amel has more of the buzz going right now, I think. And then after that, I look at Blair Davenport. Again, she has everything you want. She made a statement today saying that she should be the next champion based on who she is. And I think she's right. I think she's got a point. She should be. She did just have a match, so that's what puts her down a little bit, but give it some time and she'll be right back up there.
Well, dang. Before we move on from NXT UK, just your thoughts about this. Gallus and Di Familia are looking to have another match soon. And, well, a year ago, I would say this would be an absolute cakewalk for Gallus boys. We know how their last year went. Di Familia is getting stronger week by week, and that Charlie Dempsey is doing things even without having a tie. Really, get this poor boy a tie. I mean, he has to bring everything together. Thoughts about this? Di Familia looks to be stronger. They may be able to roll over Gallus, which is something I never thought I could possibly say ever. Jack?
Both these teams, and I've said this before about different teams, but I'm saying it again now, both these teams are in must-win positions. If either of them take a loss, it's going to be very, very tough. Now, the thing is, though, Gallus has been in that position, must win, for like a year now, right? And they're like that football team. They're like that football team that their record isn't good enough and they have to win throughout the rest of the season and then get into the playoffs to continue to go. You can only have that level of stress, that level of do or die on your shoulders all the time before eventually it wears you down and it breaks you. And something about the Familia is they smell blood and they know when someone's about to crack. They know when something's about to fall apart. That's because they're ruthless. They know how to take advantage of these things. And Flobo, I have a feeling when we see these two teams collide, that is exactly what Familia is going to take advantage of. And they are going to break Gallus down to rubble.
If Gallus comes out the losers here, do you think that's the end for them? Do you think they'll probably go their separate ways?
Whether or not it's the end of them, I don't know. You don't have to break up. They can stick around if they want to, but I think the days of Gallus being an unstoppable force in NXT UK are going to be similar to the way we look at the old Patriots and how they used to be unstoppable, but now maybe not so much.
Damn, that Belichick shade. When he hears this show, I swear to you.
Well, he's a loyal fan. He loves this show.
I know.
All the time.
So we air early enough so you can play the Thursday football games afterwards.
Yeah.
Moving on to NXT 2.0. What's up, Bill? Moving on to NXT 2.0. Usually go main event first, but let's talk about the most social media moment of that night, which happened after the main event. It was Walter against Roderick Strong, and a match that delivered. It told us to hit us hard and strike fast. We'll get into the match in just a second, but the whole world is talking about after that match, where Samantha Irvin got the microphone to announce Walter as a winner. He said, "No, my name is Gunther." Jack Farmer, you read the tweets. Everyone has an opinion about this, and the whole world's already said their piece. Your thoughts about the Gunther situation?
Regardless, take aside what the name is, or any of the tweets about what it was supposed to be, or anything like that. Just the idea that they changed Walter's name. I'm like most fans. I like Walter. Walter's built the name. I get it. But this is kind of what WWE does. He's not the first person whose name has been changed. So I would say, looking at the reactions, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. You know? Like,
thanks, Dad. Is that you?
Yeah, you know, like, it's
what? What does that mean?
It means that you expect names to be changed. It happens. I mean, on NXT UK, where Walter's from, we saw Nathan Frazier have his name changed halfway through a program. We saw Shaw Samuels change his name mid-match. You know,
good times. Who's that, Harvey? Oh.
By the way, I think that was the moment I fell in love with NXT UK. Was when he was like, "Nope, that's not my name."
Yeah, you're right.
You know, it happens. You know, so. I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying that it's for the better or anything like that. I'm just saying that goes with the territory. You know, it's like getting mad that McDonald's put a Mick in front of the name of a meal item, you know?
Right.
Why not just call it a nugget? That's what we all eat. Well, it's a McNugget here. That's what we call it.
If you don't like it, you can go across the street to Burger King.
Right. So
why are you so mad around McDonald's?
You know, so that, I guess that's sort of how I feel. I do feel like, though, this might be a little too LA centric here, but I do feel like it's going to be a bit like Crypto.com Stadium. No one calls it that. It's going to be Staples for most people here for a very long time. I think the same thing applies to the Walter Gunther thing.
So I am also torn. I don't think the name matters as much. In fact, I think the people who are the most outraged are those who don't watch NXT. So to kick rocks. But I've never seen someone this advanced in their career. Like, I'm trying to go back in wrestling. I mentioned today on our post-show call for MacMania, I was like, well, I remember when Johnny Nitro said, "Call me John Morrison." I remember when we had, and Harvey, you said, but Walter is in the record books as being the longest holder of that championship, the NXT United Kingdom Championship. And we've seen him before. He was featured in Survivor Series. So I'm not against name changes. And to be fair, you have to give NXT an episode to explain why he decided to call himself Gunther in this world. I just wonder why now. Like, what would be the point, the advantage now after having him inside the WWE system for 4 years now?
I mean, is it different than Piper Niven to Doudrop?
It's the same thing, and I don't like it.
I'm not saying I like that name change either. I'm just saying this isn't out of the blue. It's not something to not expect, you know.
Fair enough.
I don't like it when they talk about Crown Jewel being as big or greater than WrestleMania, because WrestleMania should be the biggest. But that's what it is. I can't get mad at it at this point. It's been that way for a long time. So like I said, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping this will be at least another character wrinkle, because if Gunther is just like Walter, that's when I will get upset. I feel like if you're going to be a different name, an example I use is from comic books also. Again, when Captain America decided that he was done with America, he became Nomad. Comic book characters, like when Dick Grayson became Nightwing, like it can be done, but it has to be different. Elliot Fletcher says, I think it's okay to change people's names who aren't known to the wider audience, like when Christian Casanova changed the name to Carmelo Hayes, and he don't miss. Let's get to the match itself. Roderick Strong from Diamond Mine against, do I say Gunther now? I mean, he was Walter when it happened, but to me,
that was the weirdest part for me, is they announced him as Walter when he came out.
Yeah. He had a moment in mid-match. Like, he was like, you know what? I'm just not chopping hard enough. But the match was really good, man. I feel like that gets pushed by the wayside, Jack.
It's such a disappointment. This to me is a very sad part of this, where the match was so good. And I think that we have to give a lot of credit to Roderick Strong, by the way, who never seems to get the credit he deserves for how good he is in the ring. I look at the fact that this was Walter's first real match in NXT 2.0. I know he had the match with Matt Riddle recently, but I feel like that was like the prequel. He wasn't really here yet. This was his first real match. I think it's not a accident that it was against Roderick Strong. I think when they're putting these matches together, they say, who's someone who can really help make someone like Gunther? It's going to be hard to not call him Walter.
Yeah, it's enhancement talent. It's enhancement talent.
He's someone that I think they knew would be able to make him look good. And I think, and I don't mean that I mean that in the most positive way. I think Roderick Strong is just incredibly underrated and underappreciated for how good he is in the ring. And this delivered to me. I thought this was fantastic.
Yeah, I think it was a very solid match. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wasn't a fan of the 6-man tag a couple weeks ago at New Year's Evil. So this, to me, was in my mind, a rebound to what Gunther could do. So yeah, I'm glad they had that match first. But you're right. Now that you mentioned this, right? He came out and was like, "Yep, that's me." At the end, like, "It's not me anymore. I'm done."
Right.
Which is really interesting. This is a real quick thought because we're talking about characters and stuff. We got reintroduced to Sarai this week, and she has acquired her grandmother's necklace. But we can tell from a close-up she has different clothing and different backstory. That's also made the rounds on social media. I just want to know your thoughts about that. I understand that NXT 2.0 has a certain vibe over NXT 1.0. How does Sarai fit? What do you think of the vignette?
Yeah, I saw a lot of commentary on that too, and I'm probably going to look like an apologist here because I didn't just bury the name change. Again, I wish he kept it Walter. I'm not saying that, but I look at this change too, and I'll be honest, my initial reaction was what are they doing? Saray's great, just let her be a wrestler. But I stopped and I thought about it, and that's one of the benefits of us not talking about this show right away and having a chance to think about it for a little bit. And something I've noticed about NXT 2.0 is a lot of times they'll have these characters that your knee-jerk reaction is negative. But then once you give them a chance to breathe, you tend to like them. And you're for those watching on YouTube, you're doing it right now. Tony D'Angelo, when he had this similar package, we were all like, oh, what is this? This is going to be horrible. Now he's one of the most popular guys on the show. Trick Williams, we hated when he first came out. But now, again, he's one of those popular guys on the show.
He buried Big Joseph this week, which is hilarious.
And this isn't helping my point, but I'm
Joe Gacy, another one.
Joe Gacy's another one, but I'm Tian Shaw. What's her name?
Wendy Chu.
Chu. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. That was another one where we're kind of like, oh, she was Tian Shaw. Now she's sleeping everywhere. What's going on? But now she's one of the most lovable characters on the show.
Hey, Demon, get up.
So I get the knee-jerk reaction, but and I'm so hesitant to say this because we say this with WWE all the time, and it doesn't work out sometimes. I think we got to give this one time. I think we got to see how it plays out.
Real quick, I gotta give a shout out to Cedric Welton of the We Got NXT. We got NXT. I don't know you pronounce it. We got next, or We Got NXT podcast. Just put those characters in. We Got NXT in your podcast machine. Who says that?
Yeah, no, go ahead. I was gonna put over Cedric more.
Oh, Sarai thing was cringe. Oh, we can put Cedric how much you want, brother. It's all good.
No, Cedric's great. You guys definitely got to check out his show. They do some good stuff over there. And friend of the show, been on the show, Cedric. So thanks for being in the chat.
Should probably get him back one week. And to also, Elliot Fletcher says, I think we can judge the Sarai stuff after a couple weeks when we know what they are doing with the character. Now, to be fair, I like Sarai. In fact, her theme song was actually one of my favorites. It's in my jogging playlist, but it did seem very NXT 1.0 of the presentation. Not to compare skill sets or even how they look, but it reminded me of the the protagonist side of Io Shirai when she came out by herself as a solo act after the Mae Young Classic. It's just, hey, this person's a blue chipper. This person's amazing. And maybe that's not going to work on a show where these characters are kind of like either colorful how you look at them or like over the top how you look at them. Sarai needs something. Now, she didn't do anything over the top thing. I'm always wary about wrestlers that rely on inanimate objects. And yes, that includes Drew McIntyre. Because Drew McIntyre didn't need a sword. That was definitely for action figures. So that's the part I'm like cringy about. But her dressed a certain way, her being positive, I'm willing to rock with that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you make a good point about the inanimate objects. In both ways, it's a little worrisome when they rely on it, but also you go, oh, well, if it's to sell toys, that's good for everybody. And also, there's been some successful characters that have done it. I mean, the Undertaker had an urn, and it paid off pretty well
Coco
long term.
Beware.
Coco Beware.
I'm sorry, I'm old. All right, guys. I'm
Yes.
just saying. Yeah, you're right. Mankind, Mrs. Sacco. I understand. I'm just saying.
So it can't work. You're right, but again, NXT has proven me wrong about enough characters that I think they've earned the right to get time on this one.
Fair enough. Oh, Frankie, that's it. The bird was named Frankie. I was like, what was the name of Coco Beware's bird? It's like a trivia question if you're over the age of 35.
100.
He's a Hall of Fame.
Coco Beware, fun side fact. One of my favorite names of a pro wrestler ever, by the way.
Oh, that just proves it. When we complain about names and stuff, there is no positive. I know this goes back to the whole Braun Breaker and the Gunther thing. You think about the top legends. We're from the 90s, Jack, where a guy called himself Buff Bagwell for 20 years, and we said nothing.
And we loved him for a very long time.
Whoa, Buffy's the stuff.
If you want proof of that, go back to that episode when they bought WCW and Vince's name in the guys. Like, oh, what if I brought this guy, and he says Buff, and the crowd goes nuts.
My mom thought Big Show was the worst name for a wrestler, and then when Big Show says I'm Paul White, I'm like, that's not right. You're Big Show. What are you talking about? So
yeah.
Let's talk about the hottest prospect in NXT. The Wall Effect. Grayson Waller is having a little bit of a stare down with LA Knight, but more importantly, a match with Dexter Lumis. And here's someone we always talked about. Where does Dexter Lumis fit in late period 1.0, earlier period 2.0? But 1 week removed from the AJ Styles match, it's true. It looks like Grayson Waller has officially strapped on the rocket, and that rocket may be heading right for Knight.
Yes, this was watching this, and I said it on Twitter. This is a rivalry that I could see headlining any show in pro wrestling. LA Knight and Grayson Waller. These guys back and forth, their charisma, the way they use the mic, the way they control the crowd. This was just something really, really good. And I think that this was a situation where we finally got to see how good LA Knight is at controlling the crowd. The way he was handling the crowd, and if you look at, if you go back and watch it, you can see the way he interacts with the crowd and says certain things and pulls their strings in just a very, very just talented way. It was just like a masterclass to watch if you watch it back. But then Grayson Waller comes out, and Grayson Waller may be the greatest villain in pro wrestling right now. Like full stop, like across all brands. He might be the best villain of all of them. And it's just, again, another guy that I think when he first showed up, we were like, what's this guy? But now we're like, this guy is the best.
Let me jump in here, Jack. What about Grayson does it for you? Because he's not the strongest or the biggest. He's not the most dominating. He's not the most annoying. I mean, he's not Jake Paul. But what about the combination that goes, this guy's the guy?
I think you got it. It's the combination. I think he gets it. I think he's that classic. He's so annoying and so just such a jerk. And every time you get that little crumb of something where you want to say, I can respect what he's saying, even as a villain, he does something to yank it away from you. So you can't even say that, you know?
Right. That's true.
So it's like he somehow knows how to just use everything to make you hate him. Even his little, like, I guess his taunt where he goes down like one knee on both sides. You know, he does like a little knee walk.
Very Matt classic, if you remember him.
Yes. Yeah. Great shout out. 4 people in the world are going, oh yeah, Matt classic. But you know, and how he said, like, just the little things, like there's a restraining order. You got to stay 50 feet away. Now you're 10 feet, 20 feet. 30 feet, just every aspect of him just gets under your skin. And like I said, as soon as he's about to do something where you're like, okay, now I respect the villain in him, he does something to shake that off. It's just incredible what he's doing. He is the best villain in wrestling today.
And don't forget, he retired Johnny Gargano. Cedric Welton continues and says, he has the corporate heat from a few years ago, I'm sure. Dylan Matthew goes, Waller and MJF from AEW are in the same class when it comes to heels. Not sure if I quite agree, but I can see the comparison for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to AJ Smith, by the way. AJ Pereira, just going everywhere. SmackDown, Raw, just counting shoulders all over these promotions. I want to give her flowers because she's putting in that work.
She is great, and she is doing a lot of work. So it's cool to see that.
Yeah,
refs don't get enough credit, by the way, in general. So we should give her credit. Yeah.
Also, if you're giving refs credit, I want to give credit to NXT UK referee Chris Sharp. One time I asked him, hey man, do you know what the matches are this week? And he responded. That right there is a G. Shout out Chris Sharp.
Yeah, Chris Sharp represents NXT UK very well, both on the show and on social media. So yeah, give him a follow.
Yeah, please do. Another wrestling action, Dusty Cup Classic, had another match from the other side of the bracket. Diamond Mine, in this case, the Creed brothers were against Briggs and Jensen, and well, it wasn't much of a match, to be honest with you. Yeah, boy, Diamond Mine, just kind of righting the wrongs from Roderick Strong advancing the tournament. Jack Farmer, Diamond Mine seems to be one of those concepts that is here to stay in NXT 2.0, but only time will tell how effective they will be. But they won this one, and they move on to Dusty Cup Classic.
I loved this match. I thought it was great. You don't seem very impressed, but I love the video package showing the teams. They do these video packages so well, and they make the Dusty Cup just seem so important, and it really is. So it's good to see them do that. But what I loved about this match is I thought it was a good match, but I feel like we got probably the best showing for Brooks and Jensen so far.
That's why I like the match. Diamond Mine was great. I just feel like Brooks and Jensen, you're right. Brooks and Jensen aren't quite there, or they got destroyed. I couldn't tell what was wrong, a chemistry thing or whatever.
I think they were great here. We found the place for them. I think I get in the ring. They're big bruisers. They're big. They fight. They slam you hard. They're going to hit you hard. They definitely have an APA vibe to them that I think at this point is great for them. I think it's a great thing for NXT 2.0 to have. I think the right team won. I think the Creed brothers are the better team. I think the Creed brothers are probably everyone's favorite to get to the finals. But I think that Brooks and Jensen definitely found their spot, which is very important for where they're at in this company right now. And I think that now I get them a little bit more, and I'm excited to see them have matches with some other teams.
There's one difference between Brooks and Jensen and APA. And I understand
I'm not saying they're the same. Don't get me wrong.
That's black, you see? No, I know what you're saying.
That's not what I was saying.
I know what you're saying.
I was saying they never worshipped the Undertaker.
Yeah, they're not acolytes. I feel even inside in the world of the show, they're pulling their punches. Instead of hanging out with Casey and Caden, they should be hitting people extra hard. I felt the Creed brothers had no sense of danger walking in there. It was definitely supposed to be a competitive match, but there was no way in my mind they were going to walk out losing that match. And that's why I think the problem is I'm not sure if they need their own Selena Vega manager to make them different, or need to go back to the gym, or maybe just give them a couple clotheslines and lariats or something. But they're missing that thing to put them over the top, I think.
You make a great point about that, and them sort of, trying to think about their relationships backstage instead of trying to think about beat people up as we compare them to the APA. Because I think in the ring, they remind me of the APA, but you're right. Backstage, if this was the APA, they wouldn't be talking about, hey, I wonder if I can, make this girl my girlfriend. They'd be like, we lost this match. Let's go have some beers and go beat some people up at the bar to feel better about it.
Yeah.
And you're right. I'd like to see, the killer instinct. I think you hit the nail on the head. I'd like to see more of that. But I still feel very bullish on this match, because now I at least know that that's the direction they should go, as opposed to, I think a week ago, I still didn't really know what they were outside of we play horseshoes and go to country concerts.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good life if you can get it.
I mean, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying
not many horseshoe parks in Los Angeles. But on the other side of Dusty Cup, Idris Enofe, Malik Blade, the newest tag team in this tournament, which is a tongue twister, took on Legado de Fantasma, and it was an upset. I think so. Enofe and Blade advance, and well, if you're Legado de Fantasma, whoo doggy, this is not the way you thought that match was going to go at all, Jack.
It was not a good day for Legado del Fantasma in that regard. But I do think that Idris and Blade, am I crazy here? But
A little bit.
I don't know if there's a tag team outside of like an RK Bro that I've organically gotten behind as much as Idris and Blade. Throughout this build and this tournament, I don't know if it's because they are underdogs. I don't know if it's because no one sees them coming, but during this match, and I'm a Legado del Fantasma guy, always have been.
Huge.
I love these guys, but throughout the match, I'm watching this. I was rooting for Idris and Blade. I was rooting for them. I wanted them to win as I'm watching this. I was getting behind them, and dare I say, Flobo, I want them to win the Dusty Cup.
Whoa!
I want them to go all the way. I'm not saying I'm betting the farm on them to win the whole thing. I lost it in the 4th round of the Heritage Cup, so I can't. Right. But what I'm saying is, I want them to. I want them to get the win. I want them to beat MSK next, and then I want them to go on and beat Creed Brothers, or who's the other one?
Grizzled Young Veterans.
Or Grizzled Young Veterans. I want them to win it. I want them to go on, and I want them to face Imperium. I'm saying it right now. Jack Farmer wants the Idris and Blade to win the Dusty Cup.
Well, look, I like cake, but I can't have cake for breakfast, lunch, and there's no way those guys, and I like positivity too. No way that the guys are going to go all the way. What are you doing?
I can have cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We had some matches here featuring some of the new talent here in NXT UK. Dakota Kai was taking on Ulysses Leon, and Dante Chen, the returning Dante Chen, against Guru Raj, and both matches were pretty close. The question I have for you about these crop of characters, Dante Chen, Guru Raj, and Ulysses Leon, featured very heavily on 205. Any one of those really stick out to you when you want to see more featured on NXT 2.0?
I think the one that stood out to me was Dante Chen of everything there. I love what they did here with his video package. It was so simple. And I wish WWE would do it more, where he said, look, I was on TV. I did good. I won. And you haven't seen me for 4 months because I got hurt. Now I'm healthy again. I didn't need some crazy story. I didn't need to pretend like he's not been gone.
Shaman. You don't like shamans? What's
Just
up?
say, I've been hurt. I'm back now. I really thought that was just a very simple, honest way of explaining why he hasn't been on TV. And so it was good to see him back. It was good to see him do well. Of course, Duke Hudson came out, and I can't blame the guy, because here at Dante Chen, he's getting this video package explaining what happened to him, and no one's giving us a video package for Duke Hudson when Duke Hudson losing his hair. I mean, really, that's kind of worse in a lot of ways, right? I mean,
Ted lost his dad, bro. I don't think it's the same.
I mean, Duke Hudson had his head shaved. The fact that he
it's
had
not that
to
bad.
live with that, the fact that he had to live with that, we should be giving Duke Hudson video packages about how he's overcome this and how he's grown from it and become a better person. I think Duke Hudson has every right to be mad and every right to take out his frustrations.
I forgot about Duke Hudson, probably because of poker, man. If he was a blackjack, I'd probably be asking, where's Duke? But he comes up and he's more upset. I get you. I'm with you. I think Dante Chen, not a fan of the whole like bear taunt thing he does. It's a very minor gripe. Very, very good showing this week, I thought.
Yeah. And as far as the other two, I thought it's good that they're getting TV time. I like them. I like that they are, I like that they're giving them this opportunity, but it felt like as I'm watching a show, a weird progression in that it was weird that you have this tag team coming out saying, we want to be featured more. We want to earn our spot. And then they get a match with Dakota Kai, who we're not supposed to like, but it's a one-on-one match. Mm-hmm. But both of them are like teaming up against Dakota Kai, and then they still lose. It was just, it was a weird progression in my eyes of how that unfolded. I don't feel like I left that wanting to see more of them. I felt a little bit like you tried to get me to like you, then you ganged up on someone and you still lost. I don't know if we talk about that organically liking one team. I don't know if I'm organically liking this one. Instead, I found myself saying, man, Dakota Kai is such an asset for this roster to have her. She's incredible. She was able to fight off both of them. She made this very interesting. She's good, whether she's on the mic or in the ring. Dakota Kai, here are your flowers now. That's what I'm saying.
Just for a note, Elisa Leona is the first female Mexican superstar. Dante Chen is the first Singaporean superstar. Our last actual match before we get towards the end. Wow, we're almost at an hour already. Was Kaylee Ray against Ivy Nile. And here's a match that on paper I thought Kaylee Ray would get the win, but Ivy Nile stays undefeated. Can I say the crown jewel of Diamond Mine? No, I wouldn't. That'd be a pun. Mandy Rose also gets involved here. So what's going on? Diamond Mine is looking like a three-headed like Hydra. Some parts are working, some parts are not. Then Kaylee Ray is looking like the presumptive number one contender to Mandy Rose's championship, but she has a little bit of a hang up here, Jack. It's called layer storytelling. What do you think?
I think this was probably one of the best executed parts of the show, in the fact of talking about accomplishing so much with the time you have here. First off, Ivy Nile is possibly the women's breakout star of NXT 2.0. I think she's got a very, very bright future. She looks the part. She acts the part. She wrestles
really more
well.
than Cora Jade, more than Bridget Parada. That's it.
I think Ivy Nile is bound for the main roster very soon. I think she's incredible. I think she's going to be very, very good.
Wow.
I've been a huge fan of Kaylee Ray for a long time, so I loved seeing this. I love seeing her get some time on the screen again. With the name Kaylee Ray, which was pretty cool. But at the end, Ivy Nile still remains undefeated, but at the same time, Kaylee Ray still gets to mix it up with Mandy. So you still want to see her have her match with Mandy Rose. Kaylee Ray still looks like the contender for the title. Ivy Nile still is undefeated. We get the tag team titles thrown in there. I felt like you did a lot of good things for a lot of people in this segment in a very short time, and it all made sense. I thought this was very well done. Whoever put this together deserves a pat on the back.
Probably wasn't the same person that put together that Leslie Leon segment, but that's not a problem. It's very, very clear to me that Braun Breaker and Santos Escobar are on a collision course, but what's not as clear, which makes it a bit more entertaining, is that North American title division. Tony D'Angelo mourns Pete Dunne this week, but it kind of breaks down because Mello shows up, Trick is there, Cameron Grimes was a spot too. The North American title division looking pretty fresh these days there, Jack Farmer.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power of Carmelo Hayes. That's the power of having someone who I keep saying is going to be this generation's like Randy Orton. I think he's going to be around for a long time, as long as he wants to. He's going to win a ton of championships, and he's going to be one of those guys that is just everything he does is going to be magic. That showed here today, and I think that now that he took the North American title and he keeps calling it the A championship. He might be right. I feel like this is right now the most interesting title in NXT 2.0.
Agreed.
So he's got a point. Not only is he saying it, but he's got a point because right now, between Trick being good on the microphone, between him being good in the ring, between Tony D'Angelo wanting shots at it, between all this different stuff going on, right now, Carmelo Hayes and the North American title, I think he's right. It's the A championship.
Which is really kind of inspiring. And once you decide to say, you know what, I'm the best at what I do, and you keep saying it long enough, then yeah, you will be treated as the best, which is, damn, man, a mood. It's a mood.
And I got to add real quick, I wanted to say too, I think that if we do get Tony D'Angelo versus Carmelo Hayes, this could be the most important rivalry in the short history of NXT 2.0.
Absolutely.
Because it will be the first rivalry between two megastars that were built as NXT 2.0ers. Now, we've had matches between people from NXT 2.0, but that, were, I guess, quote unquote, created in 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the first two big stars with big stakes, title implications that could be going at it. And I think that will be the most important feud they've had since the show started. And then just to add, was it just me or when Cameron Grimes came out in his music hit, did it feel like a megastar was coming out? A superstar. There's only one megastar.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
only one megastar on the show. But but when his music hit and he came out, didn't it almost feel like a main roster guy was coming out? It felt like
absolutely.
Oh wow, like star power.
They gave him the center push and the lower camera angle and everything, man. And the To the Moon is forever over. That's what it is. It's forever over.
Yeah. So
That's why I feel like the extra icing on the cake, because you're right. There were a lot of because Pete Dunne wasn't there, and the whole thing was all 2.0 guy, even though Carmelo was a 1.0 product, he was definitely a 2.0 guy. But when Cameron Grimes came in as an extra part, it was like, okay, this transcends 1 versus 2. So I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, another episode or another piece of the show that just incredibly well done. This was a really well done episode, and again, why I'm so bummed out that the Walter thing overshadowed so much of it.
Yeah, I feel kind of weird about this because NXT 2.0 is definitely, you have to get it within a company where you have to get it. And so it won't get the praise that I feel like a lot of NXT fans are kind of like huddled together over like trash can fires, telling stories about how good the episode is. But when things like Gunther happens or Sarai happens, it kind of puts a whole muddy effect on things. Cedric Relton, before we get out of here, says Grimes will be the face of the company in 2022. You know what? I don't see why not. I mean, that guy's totally earned it. He's entertained as a antagonist and a protagonist. That guy can do it all. I usually ask MVP of NXT right now for you, Jack, but Wade Barrett plays Wardle, so he wins by default. But if you're going to pick somebody else to be the MVP of NXT this week, Jack Farmer, who will you pick?
This is tough. I'm going to give it to Idris Enofe and Malik Blade because
they were all in these guys.
They made me fans. They made me a fan. I'm buying in on them big time, and they got a big win no one saw coming to move forward in the Dusty Cup, which solidifies them as not just a thrown together team, but an actual team. I think as far as moving the chains using American football speak, I think they did it better than anybody this week.
Whew. Well, I had a hard choice picking this besides Wade. I had to think the one person you pulled out that wouldn't have the same impact in either show, it's got to be LA Knight. Because you had Grayson Waller on this tear. He goes against the main roster guy, takes the defeat. So now you got to find a way to pump them up. Got to find a foil for him that has as formidable as AJ. And not only did LA Knight show up, he over-delivered. So you got to give it to the $1 million megastar LA Knight. I wish we got more of him. It always seems he kind of comes and goes like the summer breeze. But that guy, to me, really won this week for me. Whew. What a week, man. We're at our hour. Thanks for coming out with me on Draped in Gold. Thanks for everyone in the chat here at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Now, Jack Farmer, if someone want to contact you, get with you, send you fan mail, how to go about doing that?
Yeah, you can follow me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media where I'm talking about NXT and NXT UK, obviously, for this show, but also the MacMania show every Tuesday, Wrestling Inc. on Monday, talking about WWE Raw and the latest news stories there. But also, we're getting season 2 of the Evolution of Movies going here, starting next week on Wednesday. We're going back to 1980. We're going to review Flash Gordon, if you haven't seen that one. Yes, a great theme song from Queen. Then the following week, we're doing 1981's Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we're recording 1982's 48 Hours review tomorrow with James Lott Jr. So stay tuned
James
for that
Lott
one
Jr.?
as well. The James Lott Jr. Yeah, so it should be fun.
Oh, it's going to be a good time. And of course, to boy Flobo, I do a lot of things, but I'm going to push this specifically. Check out my Patreon, man. Patreon.com/Flobo Boys. We have bonus shows. We have show notes. We have extra content. And this month, I have a series of a series of shorts from a story with an arc, almost like a web series, but in text. I don't know what the word is. It's words and stuff. I oversold it wrong. Anyway, Patreon.com/Flobo Boys. I'll be right back here on this network, our sister show, Commander's Log, the unofficial Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds after show is coming right here on this network. I said a lot. I've said too much. But Jack Farmer, until next time, please say the words.
Do your best and be yourself.